maybe there's been something on your mind that you've said, boy, I just can't wait to get this. Well, get it on paper. Start looking at it. Start seeing how you can, incorporate that into your plan, because, hey, life's short, and, if you've worked hard and saved hard, you need to enjoy it as well.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome into Your Life, Your Money. I'm Ben George. He is Scott Searens, the president and financial advisor at Searens Financial Group. This podcast, we're always trying to help you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. And today we're going to do so by talking about what your money and retirement savings are for. What are you working towards, right? Beyond money, what do you want to do with your life, with your time, with your energy once you're into retirement? I think this will be a good conversation, give you some things hopefully to think about as you move forward and plan for retirement. Scott, how you doing?
Ben, I'm doing great. Looking forward to a great conversation. We talk a lot about the financial aspects of things, the numbers, the account types. So I really look forward to our conversation today of the non-financial side. And to me, this is what really excites me the most when helping people.
Yeah, very good. I'm looking forward to it as well. Just to kind of give you a heads up, if you haven't joined the show before or if you forgot, make sure you check out the website too, lifemoneyshow.com. We put the podcast up there, but Scott also puts other content from his YouTube channel and other material up there as well. So it's kind of a hub where Scott puts a lot of his financial and retirement planning information and education there as well. So if you haven't checked it out, please do so once you get done with the show. But as we talk about kind of looking forward to being successful in life and with our money, Scott, I'm always looking at different articles and magazines about morning routines, and everybody's got a different one, right? And if you have kids, it's probably different than somebody that doesn't. And, all of our lives are in kind of different phases. But what's your morning routine right now? What do you do?
First off, I am totally a morning person. I love the mornings.
Okay.
Nights, you can find me passed out by 9:30, 10, 10:30. I'm done for. But I'm totally a morning person. You'll find me up somewhere between like 5 and 6 o'clock in the mornings.
Okay.
And first thing is, like, for me, is activity. And so I'm either going to the gym, out for a walk, out for a run. But activity is really important to me, and just taking some time to think, a little meditation, maybe some prayer, but just, really just taking some time for myself throughout that activity. And then, after that, come home, getting ready for the day, breakfast. I cook breakfast every morning. And but what's interesting is throughout my house, I've got, different speakers, and I've either got like a podcast on in the background or some music on. I'm just constantly listening to something. Depends on the day, right? Some days are learning days. Some days I just want to have fun and listen to the music, and then head to the office. And for me, each day I'm just kind of looking at my plan for the week. So what's my personal plan? What's my business plan? But overall, I love the mornings, I'm more of a routine guy, right? So having that routine, and I'll tell you what, I've noticed for myself anyways, that if I don't go through that morning routine, my day is totally off.
Really?
And it's interesting how that works. Now, how about yourself? Are you a morning guy or night guy?
I lean more towards nights. At least I always was for the longest time. Since having a child, obviously that changes quite a bit. I'll still try to stay up a little bit longer at nights a lot of times, just to try to have just more time to yourself, right? Like once the baby goes to sleep, that's a chance to kind of unwind a little bit, maybe do a little bit of work, catch up on something that you hadn't watched in a while or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the morning always starts pretty similar times, but she slept in more now, so my days a lot of times start around 7. So it's all about getting her ready and preparing her for the day and getting the dog out for a walk, which is always nice, as you kind of mentioned, that movement, that exercise, just kind of being active early. It does kind of give you that extra boost of energy to start the day.
Yeah, I think it gives you a great start. But you're right. Everyone's different, right? There's people I'm smiling at in the mornings. I'm sure they're looking at me going, what is wrong with that guy? How does he have so much energy right now? And so everybody's got their different time of day, I guess, that they focus on and like.
Yeah, my wife's completely a night person. If she could sleep until 9 or 10 o'clock every day, she would. We're all different. But yeah, that's interesting to hear what your strategy is, and I'm sure everyone's got their own. If you want to share it with us, hit us up. You can We can leave a comment on YouTube if you're listening there, or shoot Scott an email. We'd love to hear from you on anything that's on your mind. But today we're talking about what your money and retirement savings are for. We talk all the time about financial strategies, right? Which is obviously a a priority for most people as they're planning for retirement. But today, as we talked about, we want to focus on the non-financial side, one that Scott really cares a lot about when he works with his clients. And we all have different reasons, different goals, what we want to accomplish in retirement, how we want to spend our money, what our money is going to be used for. So we want to talk about that today, Scott. I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of dive in to the motivations that people have.
Yeah, I look forward to going through the different categories, the examples. This is probably one of my most favorite parts of helping out clients. I think sometimes people look at a financial advisor and say, oh, okay, investments, tax strategies, how are we going to align the portfolios? But for me, it's really saying we definitely want to make sure all of that is organized and aligned and proper. But I really like to focus also on the non-financial side, right? So instead of getting wrapped up on that, is really sitting down and focusing on, hey, what is all of this money that you've saved for? What do you want to do with it? And, sometimes I think people can get so focused on, well, it's for my retirement. And they get so focused on that it's just, well, I need to be able to live my daily lifestyle, that sometimes they haven't thought past that, right? They haven't worked with somebody that's helped them think past that. And so when sitting down with individuals or couples, really try to ask some questions to pull these things out of them. And that's what's really fun, is to see, once you kind of get past the basics of, well, I want to continue to live my lifestyle, it's like, okay, but what else is this money for? And then it really starts to come out, right? Like, well, I've always wanted that Ford Mustang, or I've always wanted to take my children on this, grand vacation, or my children live out of state now. I want to go live closer to them. And, I find that once you start putting these things down onto paper, they start to become a little bit more reality. Mm-hmm. And then you can start to craft that plan around them. And I think that's what really helps people see what's possible, right? And I think sometimes savers are not used to spending. I work with a lot of people that, they may have came from little to nothing, and they've worked hard. They're self-made. They've not a really healthy amount, and they have options, but they don't realize that they have options. They're not able to visualize it because they've been so focused on saving. So I really, like to help pull those thoughts out. And sometimes that takes time. It's not always in, one visit or two visits. It's over time of building that confidence in their plan. But love to continue to see those thoughts come out of what people want to do with their money, help put a plan around it so then they can take action and make that happen. So, we've broken some things down into different categories. I've got a lot of great examples today that I just hope for people listening, it will really maybe spur some thoughts, some ideas for you to just start putting them down onto paper and seeing and talking to somebody to say, hey, how do I make this happen?
Yeah, and if you haven't really thought about it, hopefully these items we've kind of put together will, like you said, spur some thought and kind of get you thinking about that, put the wheels in motion so you can kind of get an idea of what you want retirement to look like, because it does help with the planning process as well. So we put together a list for you today, some different categories, some very common motivations that we see and Scott sees from the clients that he works with quite a bit, and then how your financial advisor can actually help you accomplish what you set out to do with your money in retirement. So the first one on the list today, Scott, I think this one is big for a lot of people, and that's just spending more time with family, right? Whether it be helping out with your grandchildren, helping raise them, or getting your family together at your retirement house or wherever it is, just getting more active with the family and just really cherishing that time is a motivation for many people.
Ben, you're right on. And I think COVID really escalated this one, right? People now go, wow, hey, things can, change so fast. So I want to take the time that we have and like I used a great word, cherish it, right? Cherish the time that we have with those that are around us. And for some people, this might be, they have aging parents, and it could be helping them and taking care of them. Others, it's, hey, wanting to spend more time with their kids or their grandkids. I'll just share a couple stories with you of clients that we've worked with. One is I've got a client where, what was important to them is they've got kids. Their kids now have, children, so they've got grandkids. And one thing that was important to them is that they said, okay, Scott, maybe every other year, we want to just fully fund a vacation for our children and our grandchildren, meaning they wanted to go on the vacation with their children and grandchildren and, be able to just pay for it all for everybody. So that way everybody could just enjoy the time and be together. And so that was something that we early on worked into their plan. I've got other clients where their children moved to Missouri and now they're having grandchildren. And they said, you know what, there's nothing really keeping us in Illinois any longer. And so we really want to be closer to our children. So now part of their plan is helping them understand how to use their retirement savings to pick up from where they're at today and move to Missouri, right? Be closer to their children. For some others, it's really been just, hey, our kids, our grandkids are really active. And so one thing that's important for us now is maybe shifting to more part-time work and just being able to see all of their games, or if they're showing in the fair, we want to make sure that we're, there to watch them show in the fair or go to their, sporting events, whatever it is, Scott, we just want to be around. And so, a lot of what we're helping them do is taking and seeing what they've saved up, putting an income plan to it, and then they're starting to see how that can create financial independence. They're starting to see how that can create options for them and really just, creates, I'll call it time without worry, right? Being able to take the time to do those things and to be able to spend that money without worry.
Yeah, I like that, time without worry. That's good. And that's definitely a priority for so many people. So it's always good, I'm sure, that's probably one of the things that you really enjoy. I know you talked about enjoying just all the aspects of working with somebody beyond the money, but really setting them up to enjoy that time with family, probably more than anything, right?
Yeah, to hear the stories when we come to sit around the conference table and kind of review the plan, but talk about things and update, like that's what really gives me energy, is to hear those stories of how, we provided the confidence for people to go and take those vacations with their entire family or to move to another location to be closer to their family, and to see the smiles on their faces, just to see the energy that it brings them. That's what brings energy to me. That's the cool part of the job.
That is really cool. All right, what's next on the list in terms of what you see people saving their money for?
Yeah, I'll call it kind of the buying things or buying stuff. What was part of that that retirement bucket plan, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of times that some of the folks that I work with, that they've been very conservative throughout their life, meaning they've been savers, but they really haven't splurged on spending because, their total focus has just been making sure they're ready for retirement. And I guess kind of a side note there, it's one of the reasons why I tell folks is that you want to really, start working with somebody. If that's you might want to start working with somebody in advance of retirement because, we want to help you live life today, but also be confident about your tomorrow and your future. And so I find sometimes people will give up a lot today for that future, maybe more than that they have to, right? Now, others need to save, but anyways, a little side note there. So I find that a lot of people have been conservative. They've been, savers. They haven't splurged a lot as they've been preparing for retirement. So, I've got different clients there. Like one, for them, it was like important to not only buy a house that was going to be their retirement house, but they also wanted to put in a pool because they wanted their, kids and their grandchildren to be able to come over and enjoy that pool. I've got one client who just loves to fish. And so it's, he's got maybe houses in a couple different locations, and it's being able to have that fishing boat at, having a fishing boat at one home as well as the other home. So that way, hey, you can just always go out and enjoy that time, right? And other clients that just like to get out boating and then build a garage because, hey, just, what? I've always wanted kind of my man cave, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been putting together that plan to show them that, hey, once we've finally spurred these ideas, we've pulled them out of you, right? That these have been some things that have been on your mind. Is this a need to have? Is this a want to have? Is this a nice to have? And then we can really start to put the plan together to show these different folks how they can achieve those goals. So maybe there's been something on your mind that you've said, boy, I just can't wait to get this. Well, get it on paper. Start looking at it. Start seeing how you can, incorporate that into your plan, because, hey, life's short, and, if you've worked hard and saved hard, you need to enjoy it as well.
And I would imagine kind of an offshoot of wanting to spend that money is travel, right? I'm sure you see big travel plans quite a bit.
Yeah, there's, I think travel comes in, for some people it's, hey, well, I'm waiting until I retire, and then, boy, that's what our plan is like, hey, we're drawing the line, we're not working anymore, and we want to go off and we want to travel and see lots of different parts of, whether it be the US or the world. But then there's also clients that we work with that want to travel today, but also make sure that they're, confident about their future and tomorrow. I've got different clients, just to kind of, again, some examples. Hopefully it spurs ideas for folks listening. But for some people, it's been, hey, I want to go over to Europe, and that's how we're going to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And so we want to just take a month away and do whatever we need to do for us. I've got other clients where, it's not maybe one grand trip, but they said, hey, I live in the cold weather. I'm kind of tired of the cold weather of Illinois. And so we want to either have a summer home. I've had a lot of people say that. Not a summer home, right? A winter home. So we want to have a winter home where it's, somewhere nice and warm, or especially with kind of the I'll say times changing with Airbnbs and VRBOs and people renting out their places. Now I'm kind of seeing this shift too, where people will say, hey, we're going to try out Florida this winter, and we're going to try out Arizona next winter. And then we're going to try out, California the winter after that. And it's just putting together those thoughts and really, again, pulling them out of people, right? Hey, what do we want to do with this money? What is this money for? What have you been waiting so long to do, to put it on the plan? Again, once you get it on paper, then it starts to turn into reality. So lots of different thoughts or trips that people want to take. I've got another couple that I work with, and to me, this is interesting, right? So we've got different ages, and we've got about an 8-year split in age between the couple. And so it's, hey, how do we enjoy time together while one might be retired and the other is still working, and they want to take those trips. So maybe that's one person going part-time and, allowing the time to be able to take those trips. So again, a lot of different thoughts, examples. Hopefully it spurs some ideas, but it's taking those ideas, putting some value to them, and putting into the plan to then show that, hey, this is all possible. Now, hopefully this helps give you confidence to be able to go do it.
I like that a lot. So these are some of the obvious ones I think about: family, spending, travel. What else is on this list?
So another one that I see, and this kind of goes back to the first one that we talked about, is spending more time with family, but instead of spending more time with family, is how can we help maybe support our family? And a big one that I see is clients helping their kids or their grandkids with their, college education costs. I mean, the cost of college education just continues to skyrocket. If you look at any stats of, debt in the world, a huge portion of the debt in the U.S. is student loan debt. And so to be able to give someone that ability to kick off their life, their work world life, without any sort of student loans is a huge help. And so I've worked with a lot of clients, and helping them get set up of contributing to their grandchild's 529 plan. And there's a lot of different ways to go about this, keeping the money in the grandparent's name versus putting it in the parent's name, versus putting in the child's name. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it. But, I think first is just understanding and helping people have that confidence that they can take a portion of what they've saved up and give it to somebody else, right? And that their retirement will be okay. And then once they do that, what's the best way to go about it? So we recently worked with a client who wanted to help out their grandson, and they wanted to make sure that when their grandson, goes to college and graduates from college, that they're not graduating with any sort of student loan debt. And this couple actually has that ability to provide that help. But one of the conversations that we had was, because they said, well, okay, how much should we put in each and every year? And looking at their situation, we're actually able to take a different approach at it. And I said, hey, think about this. What if instead of putting in a certain amount each and every year, you were just to put in a larger lump sum right now up front and let that money compound over time? And you see, by doing that, not only did it provide some tax strategies of taking, funds out of what would normally be causing maybe some taxable interest and dividends for them, but now it's provided a lump sum for their grandson that now has, years and years and years to compound. And so it's just really getting the best of both worlds there. So that's another part, just, how helping clients understand how they can help out their children if they so want to do so. Sometimes it's not college. Sometimes it's just, hey, you know what? We really want to help our children just get started with their new home, or, they've just had a rough time, and so we just want to help them out with some of their different expenses. So one of the things we always want to look at is, hey, we don't want to jeopardize our client's retirement. We always need to look at that. But then after that, what's the best way to help out family members if they want to?
Very good. So family, obviously a big priority, but then, for a lot of people, it goes beyond that, whether, you have a smaller family or your family is well taken care of. A lot of people think about charities, right, as a way to kind of leave their legacy. So how do you help people, I guess, in that aspect?
Yeah, so a lot of folks will talk about, and I liked how you put that, right, leaving that legacy. And for some people, it's leaving that legacy today, while they can see that charity use the money towards the benefits. And for some people, it's, leaving that legacy after they pass. So, for instance, I have a couple clients that, give to their church, and one that likes to give to their church each and every year, one that wants to, they don't have children. And so when they pass, they want to make sure that the church is, part of their beneficiaries at that point in time. I have another client who wants to help out when it comes to giving children scholarships, whether it be to, school or to college. And so this is all part of, charitable planning. Some is, planning from a tax standpoint now. What's the best way to give to that charity where that's the main benefit, right? Providing that donation to that charity. But then also, are there ways when doing that, there's some tax benefits to the person that is doing the giving? So for instance, the client that I was mentioning that gives to their church, they're over age 72. And what they're able to do each and every year are these qualified charitable distributions, meaning giving straight from their IRA or 401k to the charity. And by doing that, they're actually getting they're reducing their taxable income in addition to their standard deduction. So, hey, great, they're getting the benefits of both worlds there. The clients that I mentioned that, they don't have any children, they want to help pass along, they want to help their church out when they're to pass. It's making sure that their beneficiaries are properly set up on all of their forms and their documents, so that way the organizations that they so choose will receive those funds when they pass. So I think, hopefully that spurs some ideas again, but also helps people recognize that there are ways to do things and to help give. And, speaking with someone that has knowledge in that field, you might actually be able to not only just give to that organization, but benefit from a tax standpoint yourself.
Yeah, and I think, talking about all these things just helps you understand, number one, there are, many different things you can aim for in retirement, but also that you can put a plan in place to help you achieve these things. And that's why we want you to think about them, is because, once you kind of identify what your priorities are, then you can work with them, Scott, to get there. And I think that's the biggest thing is having an advisor will help you reach these things much easier than trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, I think it's, instead of having that mentality of thinking, boy, I don't know if I have the money for that or not, is sitting down, talking to somebody, getting the ideas onto paper. And I really like to categorize them, right? What's the need to haves? What's the want to haves? And what's the nice to haves? So that way you're not disappointed, right? So, hey, we really need to have this. All right, great. Let's put a plan together for it. Hey, this is okay, right? The nice to haves might kind of be the okay. If it falls off, not a, if we're not able to achieve it, not a big deal. But once you get it down on paper, once you get it categorized, then you're actually able to start to put that plan together to say, yeah, that's not a problem. Yep, you can achieve that goal, not a problem. Oh, want to take those vacations? That's not a problem either. And you really start to see it on paper. You start to, visualize it. And I think it helps give that confidence to be able to go out and do it.
Very good. So hopefully this helps you out. If you have any more questions or want to talk to Scott more about this, lifemoneyshow.com is the website. Scott, we got time for one question I want to get to before we close out today's show. If you ever have anything on your mind, send it in to us via the website. But this question comes in from Rick, who says, our house is a lot bigger than what we need now, so we should probably downsize. But it's the place where we raised our family, so I'm emotionally attached to it. Is it foolish to keep it when we could live somewhere else cheaper?
Ben, I'm probably going to use this one phrase a lot as we continue through our podcast, but this is a good example of emotion versus logic, right?
Okay,
Emotion versus logic. And I find that people can become so emotionally tied to things that they're not doing what's, maybe logically right for them. And I think that, Rick really needs to sit back and say, okay, hey, what is it that's truly important to them? One, what's financially in their best interest, right? So that's the logical side. Hey, right now it sounds like it might be financially in their best interest to move. But then also it's okay to add in that emotional side. I find that that's what drives decisions a lot of times. But a lot of times we also, think that change is tough. Now, Ben, I don't know about you if you've moved before, but, in a lot of the times where I've had to move, I've been in one location. I'm like, oh man, I've finally gotten used to this location. I like this area, but then for some reason it was time to move, right? And I'm like, gosh, I don't know if this is going to be the right thing. But then when I got to the new area, I'm like, boy, I really like it here.
Yeah.
This is great. Looking back, why didn't I do this sooner? And so I'm also guessing that, hey, if you get over to a new place, you might really like it. And if you don't, hey, you can always change, right? So I realize moving's tough. It's not something that we want to do, every month or every year. But if you do get to that new spot and it's not, what you're really hoping for, then you can always change. So I think, if you are financially okay and you don't need to move from a financial standpoint, then I guess you really just have to do what makes you happy. But remember, on the other side of change is sometimes happiness as well.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Well said, Scott. And thanks for that question, Rick. We do appreciate it. Again, if you have anything on your mind, please don't hesitate to reach out. Get in touch with Scott in the Sierens Financial Group at lifemoneyshow.com. We'll put this podcast there. All of our podcasts are there, along with other content that Scott creates week in, week out. So, Scott, we do appreciate it, man. This was a good conversation and really cool to think about what your retirement could look like. And hopefully this provides a little inspiration.
Great show, great conversation, and look forward to our next one.
Sierens Financial Group is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.